Is now the ranking member of our subcommittee on digital assets, Mr. Lynch of Massachusetts, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Saluzzi, you write in your testimony that we hope the SEC is not considering the elimination of Rule 611 because it potentially stands in the way of their, quote, innovation exemption and tokenization plans. I think that's exactly what's going on here. You also go on to say that allowing the trading of tokens that do not have the consent of public companies that they track and do not confer voting rights or dividends would be akin to permitting trading in a shady, unregulated bucket shop. I agree. Go on to say that this would be a grave mistake which would distort the price discovery process and undermine investor confidence in the market. That's what I worry about. As Mr. Davidson said, we've got robust markets. We've got a great reputation for integrity. I think it's because around the world, people see these markets as fair and orderly. What does the elimination of 611 do to all that? If you can game the system, if you're not giving someone the NBBO, I mean, wouldn't that undermine your faith in the markets itself? I mean, it would to me, and it's always been a ground truth in the markets that you get the best price. And could you talk about this and about the potential undermining of investor confidence that might result if we get rid of 611? That's not innovation, by the way. That's not innovation. Getting rid of the trust that's in the market.
Thank you, Congressman. And yes, I agree. And I still don't understand why the elimination is even on the board. And we do have a best execution responsibility, as Mr. Billings said. That overrides everything. 5310, FINRA rule, that is my responsibility. But that NBBO is also, like I mentioned before, so sacred to this market because we do price merchandise off of that. So there are ways to fix 611, if you may, because right now we have 17 stock exchanges. 10 of them have 1% market share or less. And these are all protected quotes. So as my fellow panelists have said, they have to pay to access these exchanges. So one suggestion would be to limit the amount. If you have a stock exchange, let's just call it 2% market share or less, you are no longer a protected quote. That's one suggestion that's been on the table, which is a good suggestion. The SIP revenue formula, which has been mentioned also, is a relic of the past. But there's an exchange out there. It's called, now it's a New York Stock Exchange Texas, but it used to be called the New York Stock Exchange Chicago. It has a 0.5% market share in 2024 is when they had the numbers on it, and they collected 12% of the quote trading revenue, which was about $18 million. And that doesn't make any sense either. So you can change the quote trading formula, you can limit the amount of exchanges that have protected access, and also I would add depth of book protection to 611. Do those three things, and you've made it much better, and you don't need to eliminate 611. There's no need to.
Great. You also talk about access fees and rebates, which are at the heart of almost every decision that an order routing algorithm makes. Could you talk about the reasons of lowering, how that might help the situation if we lower those access fees?
Sure.
I guess it reduces the incentives.
Yeah, the way the stock exchanges are set up now, it's a make-or-take model. So when you post liquidity, you get a rebate. When you take liquidity from an exchange, you pay an access fee. Access fees are around 30 mils cap right now. Rebates tend to be up around 27, 28 for the big guys, and even more. So the spread captures about 2 mils for the exchanges. You can lower those access fees, which is what the SEC already approved and the courts upheld, to 10 mils, and the exchanges will lower the rebates probably down to around 7 or 8. Exchanges still make the same amount of money, but what you're doing is you're lowering costs for institutional investors who want to access that quote through their brokers like myself, which would be benefiting the institution. So I don't know anybody who's against lower fees, and these are lower. The SEC said, let's lower the fees. Still maintain a cap, but let's lower the fees. So in our opinion, that makes total sense, and I don't understand that the exemptive relief request is getting so much action right now for the MEMEX request. So if it was up to me, I'd say, no, they go through at 10 mils, which has been approved, and it's not, by the way, it's really not difficult to do. Exchanges put through exchange fee changes dozens a year, so it's not a very difficult process. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll yield back the balance of my time. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back.